they banned some stuff. This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. Use the code in the description below. It's not even a code, it's a link. Use the link in the description below or the code Kenobi at checkout. Get 5% off your order and to support the show. We got a banned and restricted announcement video today, which is always quite exciting, isn't it, on a Monday, to see formats shaken up and changed. It used to be that we hated bans, but now they happen pretty regularly. They were so fucking regular that we're now just used to it. It's just part of Magic now. Going into it, I was quite excited to see if Yorion got the axe anywhere, because I just really fucking hate companions, and I hate 80 card decks too. I just fucking hate Yorion. Beyond that, I want to see Murktide dealt with in Legacy, and I didn't really like the 4 card. I've never liked 4 card decks in any format. 4 and 5 card decks need to play all the best stuff. So again, the Yorion 4 and 5 card piles in Modern, I thought needed to be addressed. And the dominance of Delver in Legacy, so Murktide, Expected Iteration, or something more extreme like Delver itself, Daze, Ponder, something wild would have been cool as well. So first of all, we got Standard. Meat Hook Massacre is banned. I won't really talk too much about this because I haven't played Standard for like well over a year at all in any way, shape or form. I was hardly touching it then either. So it's probably been 2 or 3 years since I've given a shit. So let's not talk about that at all. I don't have any basis for it at all. In Modern, Yorion Sky Nomad is banned. They had a really interesting reason why. I'll put it on screen now so you can pause and read it if you want. There'll be a link to it in the description as well. But ultimately they said that the metagame was healthy and most decks were a reasonable percentage, around 5 to 6%. And that Yorion represented an interesting issue for the return to pay-per-play post-pandemic, where there's a dexterity issue. They said that this stuff has been in the game before, Battle of Wits being on the fringes of play, but not like Yorion where it's at the height of competitive play. So they said, therefore, to make Modern as fun and as accessible as it can be for all types of players, Yorion Sky Nomad is banned. They did also mention about repetitive play patterns a bit too, due to the Yorion triggers. I also find players Living End relatively repetitive. I mean, I think it's interesting, but it's still repetitive. Playing against any deck is repetitive, arguably. A weird one, I think, that. I get where they're going with it. This is not dissimilar to how Sense's Divining Top had some of its banning blamed on how long it made games go in Legacy. So it's not something we haven't not seen before. It has a precedent, if you will. A precedent. Either way, interesting description and reasoning and rationale, considering Yorion didn't get banned in Legacy, where it's also seeing quite a bit of play, namely in D&T. Their argument is that Pioneer doesn't have many shuffle effects. Well, Legacy has a load. I don't think Legacy Yorion needs banning. I just think the rationale for banning it in Modern is weird. And this is coming from someone who wants it fucking gone. I don't like Yorion. I don't like Companion for a multitude of reasons that I've gone into in many a video that I'm not going to labour in this one. So I wanted to see it go, but the rationale does seem a bit strange. Fuck it, Magic's 100 card singleton format's the most popular way to play Magic now, so 80 cards in Modern doesn't seem like it should be that bad. I guess people are fetching more often in the 4 and 5 card decks. I guess arguably perhaps D&T and Legacy, which is where Yorion primarily lives, alongside some of the blue-white decks, is also fetching less. So maybe there's an argument there, but if it's not an effects land deck, it's not as much of an issue, I guess. One of the actual realities of Yorion though was that because you're playing 80 cards, you need access to more play sets of things. So you're normally playing 4 copies of a card anyway, but 80 cards, you need a few more lands and a few more powerful staples. And the average deck cost goes up significantly because of it. The Yorion decks have famously been difficult to rent online and therefore had a bit of a lower metagame share, simply by virtue of being too expensive for people to rent on their current rental limits, which is kind of a dumb place to be for a competitive game. It does make it very pay to access or potentially pay to win. Of course, Wizards of the Coast are never going to admit this, and they're never going to talk about the cost of secondary market cards, only the rarity of them, or the desirability of them. So part of me wonders if the supposed ban for dexterity issues in Modern might actually be because of the accessibility of pricing in this format, but they just can't say it. They aren't allowed to say it. It's against their ethos. Magic is so weird. The weirdest shit though is that Legacy did not get a ban. They actually said that the Legacy metagame is looking healthy, which if you look at Goldfish, supposedly 19% of the fucking thing is Delver. They claim that since Ragavan was gone, according to Magic Online data, this is just so weird to me. Delver is only 9% of the field and has an overall non-mirror match win rate of 52%, with both positive and negative matchups against the next 10 most played decks. They also mentioned that Unlicensed Hearse, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Ledger Shredder, and Leyline Binding were all new cards that are seeing play and changing the format. Yes. I mean, all but Leyline Binding. I don't think that's seeing any play. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't played a ton of Legacy in the last couple of months because, well, I found the format fucking annoying to play. But this 10% gap between Goldfish data and Wizards data is quite unusual. The argument, or at least the rationale a lot of people give me on Twitter and people have said before, is that the Goldfish data is incomplete. And this has been a point that people have been hammering that drum for months, if not years. Normally just as a criticism to dissuade any critique of the current metagame shake-up, right? I will say, for example, Delver shouldn't be 27% of the metagame. And usually the Delver players come out and say, well, Goldfish data is not perfect. And the counterpoint to that is, well, at least we've got some fucking data there. Apparently the figure of 9% that Wizards get is including all league data on Magic the Gathering Online. But that's such a massive disparity. There are some potential problems here. Perhaps our Goldfish collates or separates two decks that Wizards don't. The Ledger Shredder deck wasn't playing actual Delver itself for a while, so whether Wizards include that in that number or Goldfish did and they didn't, it's hard to determine at first glance, especially with Wizards stats, because they just don't show them to us. We have to just believe what they say. So they're going to have more comprehensive data, but we don't really know how they're analysing. Further to this, there's this discussion of how well it's doing against other parts of the metagame, which is a weird one because it might have a healthy win rate right now, arguably at 52%, but don't forget that decks are playing main decks, sometimes Pyroblasts and Red Elemental Blasts and such, to beat the Delver decks. Beyond that, Mono Red Prison is also one of the better decks in the format, usually a thing that preys upon Delver traditionally, alongside D&T as well. So those decks doing well might be pushing down its win percentage. Maybe, arguably, that's the metagame adjusting. Or arguably, it's warped a little bit because of Delver. I don't know. We've played it on stream quite a bit. It's Blue-Red Delver. Usually 2 to 3 of our 5-game leagues are Blue-Red Delver. To the point that I found it quite boring to play Legacy in recent times because just playing its Murktide decks all the time is a bit shit. But apparently it's healthy. There's also an argument that perhaps 9% isn't healthy. Is 1/10 of the entire metagame being Blue-Red tempo really healthy? They said a relatively small percentage share is the 4 to 5% in Modern, so I guess this could just be considered a small percentage share by them. I would like to know collectively what other decks have. So called the Goldfish, for example, it's 8.6 and 7% for Depths and Elves respectively, which still doesn't come to the total percentage share of Delver. If Delver has a higher percentage share than, say, the next 3 decks combined, which it almost does if you look at the Goldfish figures, that's a problem, surely. So I wonder if you include all the leagues, how that rocks up. I guess we'll never actually know because we're not privy to the information and Wizards don't want to share it with us, which is a shame. But where we stand now is that Delver is still the best deck in Legacy, as it always has been, and we haven't seen a shake-up or anything to adjust that to that because the 9% metagame share is considered okay, because it only wins 52% of the time. I don't know about that. Seems a little bit suspect. But what do you think? Am I talking complete shit? Have I rambled and made things completely incoherent because I'm just turning my camera on to talk to you? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. And if you're picking up any singles or sealed product, use CoolStuffInc.com. Use the code Kenobi. Support the channel. Be good to one another. I'll see you all soon. Ta for now.